Welcome back, this is Drag 101. I'm Ava, your teacher, and this is episode 1. We're going to be talking about bass today. So, by base, I mean the start of all this, because this is a long process, and the start is probably one of the most important things. Very first, you want to consider eyebrows. I know that's an unusual place to start, but eyebrows is quite important with the face, so you want to get that out the way. So, you need to know what you're doing with your eyebrows. Some people shave theirs off completely and draw new ones on. Some people use their real ones. Today I'm using my real eyebrows. You could shave part of them off, or you could glue them. Talk through the different things. You can use your real eyebrows, most people do, especially if you're just doing normal makeup, but for things like drag, or if you're, say, cross-dressing and you want to look more feminine, you probably want to give yourself a more feminine eyebrow, and by feminine I mean stereotypically feminine, as in clean and higher up and makes your face look delicate, which isn't achieved if you have a big, bushy, like low eyebrow, because that's going to look like it's dragging your face down. So, what you can do is you could just clean them up, pluck around them, or you could shave the ends off, so then the bit that comes down, you could shave that off, and then anything you draw on can just go upwards and help angle the face back up. You could shave them off completely and just draw on better ones, or you could glue them down, and that means you don't have to do anything to your eyebrows. You'll still look fine on the day-to-day, and you won't look like a bit of a weirdo with no eyebrows, but then it also means you can pull looks, because you cover them, and then put new ones on. So I'll quickly talk about gluing down eyebrows, because that is the first step for a lot of people. So what you do is you take glue and you put that on your eyebrows and make it go against the grain, with the grain, mostly against the grain. You want to get glue on all of the hairs, like coat each single hair and glue on both sides of it. And then once the glue's on, you just flatten them down, and you may have to do this a couple of times, but then once the brows are flat down, you could comb them. You could use a comb to like push them in place, or to push the glue through. Then you want them down, and then let them dry, and then once they're dry, you cover them with powder. Even though we're going to be putting a base on, you use powder. Why you use powder? Because then this will sink into all the little areas between the hairs, but also it will show you where on the eyebrows needs more glue. So then once you do that, you'll be able to see if they need gluing again, or if they need to glue harder. So then what you do is you put more glue on. So then do it again, wait till that dries, put more powder on, and I do about 3 layers until I'm satisfied with how covered they are. They're never going to look perfect. They're always going to look a little bit like chunky, a little bit like porridge, but that's fine, because the makeup we're going to do should be dramatic enough that these little bumps won't really matter at the end of the day. So you will keep going until you're satisfied. Some people just get really lucky with covering their eyebrows and some don't, like me. Once you've got them covered and powdered, you will then cover them with, say, your makeup that you're going to use as a base. So I like to cover them with concealer, and then I start doing the rest of my base. Now let's talk about base. Again, before we put the base on, we want to do some colour correcting. Some people do colour correcting, some don't. I personally don't, but that's just because my makeup is so heavy, I almost don't need to. What colour correcting is basically you have colours on your face, and you put the opposite colour on, so to counteract that colour. So then, if that colour was to ever show through your makeup, you've got the opposite one counteracting that. I'll explain. One thing, say, is people with acne or spots, they'll have lots of redness on their face. Once you've got your makeup on, this redness will still show through, so you'll have your foundation colour, but a little bit red. So what you can do to counteract that is you can put a green on top of the red, and then the green will cancel out the red, which means once you put your base on, it's going to fix it. Another colour you will want to use is red itself, but you use red on top of blue. You could use an orange, you want a warm red. Where a person would have blue on their face is things like shadows and eye bags, but also people who grow dark facial hair can have a 5 o'clock shadow, and you don't really notice it at first, but it's like you kind of realise it's like a grey tint to their face even after they've shaved, and this can be perceived as masculine, and some people don't want this. So here's how you cover it. You take something that's a reddy orange colour, you can use lipstick, and a lot of concealer palettes come with the colour because people use it for correcting under their eyes, but you will cover all of, like, say, your beard area. You could also cover your eyebrow area if your eyebrows are still showing through slightly blue under your base. And then put this red everywhere. You don't really blend in that much. And then just do your base on top of that. And hopefully if your base is enough coverage to cover the red, it'll definitely be enough to cover any kind of beard shadow. So now it's time for the actual final base. So once you put primer on, you'll start putting your base on. The most important thing here is, I guess, coverage. Depends what you want. If you go for a natural face, you just use a light coverage thing, but I'm not going to be talking about natural, I'm talking about drag, I'm talking about cross-dressing, I'm talking about changing your face. So you want something high coverage, so that's going to be a concealer. What concealer does is it conceals, it hides things, it just gets this skin colour and just puts it on top and changes whatever is underneath to that colour. So I conceal first before anything else. Wait, no, I don't, I'm lying. If I'm doing a daily face, I'll conceal. And conceal will say, I have like spots and stuff, and then put my foundation on. But when I do drag, what I like to do, because I use the Krylon TV paint sticks, and they are basically just giant concealer sticks, like calling themselves a foundation. So since that's a giant concealer stick itself, I just use that all over my face. There are different types of coverage you can get. There's sticks like I use and there's foundations. They both offer a different range of coverage. There's pros and cons to both. The pros with the sticks are that they are high coverage and thick, long lasting, but the cons are they can look thick, they can look kind of chalky, they don't really look that realistic. It is essentially a giant concealer and they can't be that good for your skin really. Then there's foundation, like the liquid type. There's lots of types of foundations, but I'm going to say, let's talk about liquid. It's just a liquid that goes on your face, colour of your skin. Pros to that, it's kind of easy to put on, you get kind of a realistic result by the end of it, and it's fine. Cons are it's not going to be as good coverage as, say, a stick, but there are some foundations out there which are crazy good coverage. There's a few techniques, like there's that technique I put on the base first, which is what a lot of people do, but some people say we'll do their eyes first, and then their base to clean up. Or there's my recent technique, because what I used to do is I put the base on, and then I would highlight, then I would contour and all that stuff. But I realised that I was putting the contour and the highlights on top of a base colour, but they're so thick, the base didn't need to be there. So now I just skip that step, and what I do is I will do contour and highlight and midtones all at the same time. And that's like my new recent technique, is I just put it all on at once. So I just have loads of stripes on my face like different colours, and then I blend it all together, and then you get a good result. And then after you've done this, one thing is you need to set this with powder. But the setting with powder can be a thing you do after highlighting and contouring. So that will be next episode where I talk about how to highlight and contour your face. But this is just a quick little introductory, what kind of base you'd use, what kind of things you would use for a base, and how you put a base on. Another thing, how I put my base on, I use a sponge. So I will put all of this on my face and then I set it over with a sponge. So I hope you liked this episode. This was just a quick one about base, and the next episode is going to be about highlighting and contouring and learning how to manipulate the structure of your face, things you can do, the theory behind it all, you know, that stuff. So stay tuned and I hope you watch it and enjoy. Thanks for watching.